Hi guys, Hoofing Central here, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be looking at all of the different actors to portray Davros, which is the creator of the Daleks. I'm going to rank every single one of them. So yeah, before we get into this video, if you do enjoy, please like and subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date with all my videos. Well, yeah, so altogether, there has been 4 different people to play Davros. In Genesis of the Daleks, it was played by Michael Wisher. Then, which in the end of that, if you haven't seen it, he kind of dies. So I assume that Michael Wisher just didn't assume he ever needed to come back. Then in Destiny, although they have the same costume for both Davroses, it's played by David Goodison, and it does make it look a bit stupid that he would return to that it looks a bit weird how David Goodison was wearing this mask that's clearly sculpted to Michael Wisher's face. But yeah, then in Resurrection, Revelation, and Remembrance, so the 3 80s Dalek stories, was Terry Malloy, Davros, who honestly, I'm not going to lie, feels like he's a bit forced in the Remembrance, but still, yeah, he's technically the 80s Davros. And then when the show was revived in 2005, we had to wait until 2009 until we got the 4th series, and we got Davros finally in the 4th series. He was played by Julian Bleach. So yeah, we're going to rank all of them. So yeah. In last place, I think, for me, still the worst, but not... When I say worst, I don't think anyone's played Davros badly per se. I think it's just... I don't know. It's not anyone's playing bad. It's just I've gone with David Goodison, and for him, he doesn't play Davros badly. It just feels like he felt very. Oh right, we're doing Davros again. Okay, call up David Goodison. Call up Terry Mill. Call up Michael Wisher, and we'll get him back. Oh, he's a bit busy. Oh, okay, we'll find someone to just replace him. Oh, David Goodison, you come do it, because in this one, he's still in the same. He's still got the same stuff that Michael Wisher's got. They've literally got the Davros prop that Michael Wisher used and given it to David Goodison. So the mask doesn't look very good because you can clearly see that it's not sculpted towards his face. He doesn't know how to control the chair properly, I don't think, because he's kind of, whenever he moves with Tom Baker, there's a scene where Tom Baker takes him from the Daleks because the Daleks want the Davros, which is why he gets refound in this story. He's kind of like trundling along, and it's a bit weird. It's just kind of he's kind of like bobbing along side to side. In terms of the performance of the Davros, I think he plays him quite well. As I said, I don't think anyone's played Davros necessarily badly, but I also don't think that he's... I think the difference between the Davroses isn't necessarily how bad they've played them, it's just more about how... it's just more about everything else, and I think the story does get a bit forgotten, but also I think just the Davrosism just kind of a bit... The whole thing was a bit poor, and I understand that they probably they brought him back, and they might not have had enough money to make a new costume, considering that the episode after this, which is City of Death, is the first time they went abroad for filming location. So I can see why they might have not done it, but I just end up feeling like it's a bit cheap. But then again, if David Goodson had they still made something good for him, like they made a new costume for him, similar to how they made a new face sculpt for Terry Malloy. If they'd done that for David Goodison, and then he never returned, and he had only done his one-time thing, I think they would have wanted to have reused Michael Wish's one as well. So I mean, I don't blame them, but at the end of the day, it makes it feel clunky, and it feels a bit, yeah. However, I do like the Movellans in this story, but they're not really anything to do with Davros. I like the Movellans in this, and I wish they were in it in Resurrection. In third place, I've gone with the only actor to portray the new series new series Davros, which is Julian Bleach. Julian Bleach I don't know, I think he's definitely found the balance between Michael Wisher and Terry Malloy, because Terry Malloy's Davros, I find, is very shouting, Doctor, you've been a fool, you are an idiot, you've come to my thingy, whatever. Whether Michael Wish's Davros has more of a maniacal, evil kind of scientist, whether Terry Malloy just kind of sounds like a shouting lunatic, which I think Julian Bleach kind of has watched. He's gone like, I think he's kind of like watched Genesis, then he's just gone, he watched Resurrection, Revelation and Remembrance, and then they just incorporated it into his performance. Because when he needs to be, like the scene where he's like, oh yeah, the Doctor show your true nature in Stolen Earth Journey's End, he's really quite maniacal evil, and the fact that he's used his own cells of DNA to rebuild the Dalek army shows how he's quite a devoted mad scientist. But then there's other scenes where he's like shouting, saying to the Doctor, you're the destroyer of worlds and all that. But yeah, overall, after David Goodison, I think David Goodison has the clunky. He's got like clunky stuff. But then, I don't really think there's anything wrong with Julian Bleach's Davros. If there's one gripe I have with it, is that similar to Terry Malloy in Remembrance, and this is the one thing I don't like about Remembrance, is he seems to, in this story, he doesn't get a lot to do in this story. He's fine in Stolen Earth Journey's End, which was the series in series 4. He's there quite a bit, but in the Witch's Familiar and is it Witch's Familiar and The Magician's Apprentice? Yeah, in that two part with Peter Capaldi, he barely does anything. He just kind of sits in the same room the whole time, and yeah, he doesn't really do anything at all, which is something that I think. Which is, yeah, he's a guy in a seat. He can't really do that much, but like there's like hope. But like that's fair. Some people might say, oh, he's a guy in a wheelchair. He can't really do that much. But that was what's the beauty about him in Genesis, and I think Revelation are the two best ones to show for that. Is in Genesis, he's going around, he's manipulating people in the Khaleds, he's manipulating the Thals, and all that. And then in Revelation, the Daleks do, I mean, apart from the glass Dalek, the Daleks do so little that I think most people forget that the white and gold Imperial Daleks appear in this first, although I think they're called the Necros Daleks in this, possibly. But the design was in this first. I mean, this is a Davros story. This is like the Davros' version of a master story with a secondary villain. In this is a story where the Davros is a villain and the Daleks are a secondary thing, which is something that Julian Bleach's Davros never had, because he just, in the first story he kind of has that. In his Stolen Earth Journey's End, Davros kind of has more to do and is just there more, but he still feels like he's getting downplayed by the Daleks. Like, he feels like he's gone, alright, I've rebuilt you. You can go do whatever you want, conquer the universe. Yeah, but you have to let me meet the doctor, talk to the Doctor again. That's literally all he's done. And then the same in The Witch's Familiar. He kind of goes, oh yeah, we're going to do this a whole elaborate plan for the Doctor, and I'm not going to do anything got the whole episode. Just sit in this one room doing nothing. And it doesn't work, in my opinion. And I think seeing Davros stories, it's not that good. Next, I've gone with Terry Malloy's Davros now, who appears in the most episodes. He's in Resurrection of the Daleks, Revelation of the Daleks, and also Remembrance of the Daleks. I think his Davros is good, because this is the point where they've gone, right, we're using Davros a bit more, let's flesh out his character and flesh out his story a little bit more, which they do. In, as I said, Revelation, he gets a lot to do, it's literally his story, and in Resurrection, he does quite a lot as well. Like, I'm not sure if it's the first episode, but I think it might be the first. It's like all the way until the end of the first episode where he actually gets unfrozen. So it does take a while for him to get into the story, but once he's in the story, if you know what I'm saying. But in Remembrance, I find the reason I put Terry Malloy below Michael Wisher isn't because I prefer Michael Wisher that much. I think they're both quite equal. I just think by this point, similar to the thing I said with the Master, by this point, I think they've gone, oh my god, with Davros, another Davros story. And you can tell that possibly in the Ben Aronovich story, Remembrance, they've kind of gone, oh, right, you need to try and get Davros into this. And he's like, what? He's like, well, yeah, you're making a Dalek story, you need to put Davros in. And he's like, fine. So then at the end, Davros just appears in the fourth part, doesn't do anything at all, and then just escapes the escape pod when he blows up the ship, when the Sylvester McCoy's Doctor blows up the ship, which feels like a little bit of a anti-climax to his whole arc as a villain, considering he has probably the best villain arc of classic Doctor Who, possibly after the Master. Then so yeah, it just doesn't feel that. Yeah, and I understand that obviously they were trying to just bring him in because they probably had a contract with Terry Malloy or something where he had to appear in a certain amount of episodes, but it didn't work for me, and it felt like it would have worked as a story without him, but they added him in anyway, which is a bit annoying. And it's funny to think that after they were cancelled and it came back in 2005, when we watched Dalek, that was the first Dalek story since 1974, with Death to the Daleks, which is a Dalek story without Davros appearing in it, which is pretty cool. Now, number one Davros is Michael Wisher. Why Michael Wisher? He's not. It's not like he's not like, to say in a sense, William Hartnell's Doctor, because in William Hartnell's Doctor has certain qualities to him that you can see in the later Doctors. However, because he's the first one, he can't take bits from any of the other Doctors yet, so he's not got the kindness as much in the first ones and all of the things that the Doctors have today. But Michael Wisher, just straight off in the first time we see him properly as the villain, like when he's not manipulating people and when he's showing his true nature, he's just brilliant. And as I said, Julian Bleach's Doctor takes aspects from Michael Wisher's Doctor, and I prefer those scenes in his stories. So yeah, and I think I mean, the whole scene where he's like, if you had a virus that could kill everything, would you do it? And then he's just like, oh, I had a virus. Yeah, I could do that. I could kill all life. I become a god. That'd be, yeah. Which is just, it's just crazy. Tom Baker's trying to reason with this man, and he's just like, nah, I'd kill everyone. Yeah, sure. It's crazy. And also, I'm pretty sure he becomes. I'm pretty sure that he becomes so paranoid. I'm not sure, it might be in the novelization that he becomes so paranoid that he puts on his own force field, because he just becomes so paranoid. And I think that's just brilliant, because he doesn't become like paranoid and insane and shouty, a bit like Terry Malloy tries to take it, but he also doesn't try and make it like he's gonna become too dark. I mean, he's too dark. I mean, he comes too dark, but like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, he just is the best iteration of Davros. And the Dalek, and a lot of people complain that this one, the Daleks don't do much, and they don't do much in Revelation, and they don't really do very much in Resurrection that either. So to be honest, I don't complain about that. I think that doesn't. It's, if you want to watch Dalek Story, watch Planet of the Daleks, watch Daleks Invasion of Earth, watch Power of the Daleks. Sure, why not? Don't watch this, because this isn't a Dalek story. This is a Davros story. And nothing can change my mind about that. But yeah, that was my ranking of all the actors who played Davros. If you ever enjoyed, again, please like and subscribe. So yeah, I'll see you.